Welcome to After Dark Stories. Here we tell thrilling stories bound to make you come back for more. We upload new stories daily. Some are complete while others will be uploaded in episodes. But don't worry, all the multi-episode stories have their own playlist just for your convenience. If you like these stories, please give us a like and subscribe, as this will help us create better stories and videos. Now sit back, relax, and let's explore the unknown. Chapter 1. Early Life and Immigration. Mary Mallon was born into a struggling Irish family in the late 19th century. Ireland at the time was still reeling from the Great Famine, and many families sought better opportunities in the United States. Mary's parents, small farmers, emigrated to America in search of a prosperous future. By the time Mary turned 15, she had already joined the wave of Irish immigrants flooding into Manhattan, driven by the hope of escaping poverty. Mary took up the role of a domestic servant working for affluent families. Although she was uneducated and had a rough start to life, her exceptional cooking skills quickly earned her invitations to work in the kitchens of wealthy New Yorkers. Little did she know that her culinary talent would soon link her to one of the deadliest diseases known to humankind. Chapter 2. The Unseen Carrier. In 1906, Mary began working for the Warren family in New York. During her employment, several family members fell ill with typhoid fever, a dangerous disease caused by the ingestion of food or water contaminated with the bacterium Salmonella typhi. Despite her efforts to maintain hygiene in the kitchen, Mary remained untested and unaware of her condition, as she showed no symptoms herself. After an investigation into the source of the outbreak, health officials traced the cases back to Mary's cooking. Alarmed, they requested she undergo examinations to confirm their suspicions. However, Mary refused, adamantly denying that she could be the cause of the outbreak. Though asymptomatic, she was a carrier of the disease, capable of spreading it without ever falling ill. The concept of asymptomatic carriers was still relatively new, and Mary was caught in a web of medical ignorance and fear. Chapter 3. The Confrontation with Public Health Officials. Public health officials prevailed upon Mary to leave her cooking career, but she was not willing to comply. They sent representatives to coax her into submitting to health examinations, but Mary viewed this as an infringement on her rights. In one meeting, she furiously rejected the claims against her, exclaiming, "I am not a typhoid carrier." Her reluctance to cooperate only further fueled the investigation into her activities. In the face of persistent outbreaks linked to her, the New York City Health Department made a controversial decision. In March 1907, they forcibly quarantined Mary in isolation on North Brother Island, a small, desolate spot in the East River. There, she found herself among other individuals deemed a danger to public health. For a woman who had devoted her life to serving others as a cook, such confinement was a crushing reality. Chapter 4. The Life of a Quarantined Individual. Mary's initial quarantine lasted nearly 3 years, during which time she was subjected to medical examinations and tests. Although the living conditions were harsh, her vigorous spirit remained unbroken. Mary began to write letters, defending her character and describing her perspective on being wrongfully charged with being a disease carrier. She maintained her innocence and accused health officials of bias. Her plight drew some public sympathy, even as she remained a polarizing figure. During her isolation, medical science advanced its understanding of diseases like typhoid fever, leading to clearer definitions of carrier and infection. Mary remained skeptical of these developments. In her mind, she was a victim of unjust persecution. As time passed, she formed a sense of camaraderie with her fellow patients, many of whom were also victims of circumstances beyond their control. Chapter 5: Release and Reluctant Reintegration. In 1910, under the condition that she would never work as a cook again, health officials released Mary from North Brother Island. With her newfound freedom, she struggled to rebuild her life. Mary sought jobs where her cooking skills wouldn't place others at risk, but the stigma attached to her name followed her wherever she went. Potential employment proved nearly impossible. Potential employers were wary of her history and the lingering perception of danger associated with her. After a short stint in a laundry, Mary returned to anonymity and explored other opportunities. However, her past would not let her go. Stories of Typhoid Mary circulated widely in the media, often sensationalized and exaggerated. The press portrayed her as a villain, an enemy of public health, deepening the public's anxiety and fear over typhoid outbreaks. Chapter 6: The Last Years of Mary Mallon. In 1915, a serious outbreak of typhoid fever occurred at a New York City hospital where Mary worked as a cook under an assumed name. Once again, health officials were called to investigate. When they linked the outbreak to her, time seemed to stand still. The specter of quarantine loomed over her once again, but this time the authorities acted swiftly. Mary was taken back to North Brother Island, where she remained until her death in 1938. Her years in isolation were spent reflecting on her life and the circumstances that led her to her fate. Mary wrote letters, maintained correspondence with friends, and continued to assert her innocence until her final days. An inherent irony seeped into her narrative. The disease she was believed to spread had, in effect, created a life of isolation and sadness that paralleled the fate of the sickened families she unwillingly impacted. Chapter 7: The Legacy of Typhoid Mary. Mary Mallon's life and story have become emblematic of public health challenges in modern society. The term Typhoid Mary endures as a reminder of how an individual can unintentionally affect public health. Her story raises ethical questions on the balance between individual liberties and the greater good, a discourse that continues today in contexts such as vaccination mandates and disease containment practices. Mary's narrative also sheds light on the growing fields of epidemiology and public health law, emerging in response to such crises. Mary remains a poignant figure in discussions about contagion, quarantine practices, and the importance of recognition and treatment of asymptomatic carriers. Her story serves as both a cautionary tale and a call to better understand the complexities of disease transmission. A Life Seen continues. Mary Mallon died on November 11, 1938, from pneumonia, still branded as Typhoid Mary. Unbeknownst to her, her life would remain a powerful story in public health lore, inspiring countless studies and reflections on disease transmission and individual rights. Her legacy remains a confluence of fear, judgment, misunderstanding, and the opportunity for compassionate public health strategies. In remembrance of Mary Mallon's life and the lessons learned from her experience, we are reminded that the complexities of public health require empathy, education, and a commitment to safeguarding both individual and collective well-being. Through Mary's narrative, we see that history not only documents events, but also serves as a rich resource for examining the human condition in the face of adversity, stigma, and misunderstanding, an important part of our shared story. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. This will really help the channel grow. Always stay safe, but most of all, stay curious. Until next time.